Good evening to you tuned in to Smart 24 TV. Thank you for joining us for this particular bulletin this very Friday, the 19th of May 2023. I'm Ronah Nahabwe with Winnie Wiinza Nakawuch in the sign language interpretation. Now let's just get right into it. We begin with UETCL's performance for the financial year of 2021-2022. UETCL, the electricity transmission company, has posted a significant profitability decline of 75 billion shillings in 2021 and 2022 fiscal year. During their annual general meeting, UETCL management expressed concerns about the detrimental impact of the plummeting shilling against the dollar, a widely used currency in their transactions. Let's have a look. According to the UETCL annual report for 2020-2021, the revenue for the year saw a 10.41% increase, reaching 1,294.47 billion Ugandan shillings. This growth was primarily driven by an increase of 8.79% in the units sold. In the subsequent financial year 2019-2020, the company experienced a 16.4% decrease in the profit before tax, with the figure dropping to 54.2 billion Ugandan shillings. This is in contrast to the previous period where the company had reported a profit before tax of 64.64 billion Ugandan shillings. The CEO acknowledges that the company failed to reach the 100 billion targets in the previous financial year, primarily because of the weakening value of the local currency, which adversely affected transactions involving the widely used US dollar. However, the company intends to implement best practices such as converting transactions to the local currency in a bid to improve future transactions.
Shilling is supported by high productivity. This shilling will be stable and we will have no impact of foreign exchange losses. But specifically to UETCL as a company, we have other mitigation measures which you would say would be hedging, and specifically what we are going to try and do is to convert some of our borrowings, which are in foreign currency that can be impacted by these foreign exchanges, into UGX borrowing. This has been done by our peers, and we will try and negotiate on this with the Ministry of Finance.
The entity expresses that its performance in the 2022 financial year could have been better if not for the significant foreign exchange losses amounting to 116 billion. This loss had a substantial impact, resulting in a profitability difference of approximately 75 billion Ugandan shillings as compared to the previous year of 2021.
You want us to give you the plan how we can safeguard Ugandan shilling. Okay, let's see, make sure that we exploit our natural resources responsibly. We become rich so that our shilling can be safeguarded. But he will give us the answer. But when it comes to foreign exchange, it is those global challenges that are beyond Uganda as Uganda.
The Uganda Electricity Transmission Company also experienced a rise in energy sales from 4,537 megawatts to 5,555 megawatts, resulting in a 4.3% revenue increase. Additionally, their total assets grew by 10.1%, and they successfully finished power projects like the Opio, Moroto, and Karuma Kawanda transmission lines, among others. Momentum. The EAC Transport Rail Network, according to Dr. Peter Mathuki, will connect Port of Mombasa to Nairobi, Kampala, Juba, Kigali, and eventually to the DRC. This infrastructure aims to reduce transport costs in the region. Uganda's standard gauge railway will start operating this year after compensations along the rail line are completed. Samuel Chirimunda compiled this report.
The upgrade of the entire East African railway network to standard gauge is estimated to cost $29 billion, with each partner state raising funds for the 4,000-kilometer-long project. Dr. Peter Mathuki, the Secretary General of the East African Community Secretariat, disclosed that efforts are being made to mobilize resources for developing a master plan. The plan aims to upgrade infrastructure, improve service management, and present business cases that attract private sector investments by reducing transport costs.
East African Community, we've been mobilizing resources to lay down the master plans that support not only the railway network, but the entire infrastructure network. And this is one of our key areas of focus, where we see SGR run from the port of Mombasa, Nairobi to Kampala, to Juba, and of course Kigali, but also the one that is running from Dar es Salaam port all the way to connects to Burundi, maybe Kigali and DRC. And this is something that we are doing. Of course, each partner state have been raising funds to finance the sects that run within their own partner states. And there was ourselves as East Africa, we now cover the cost related to the entire master plan. And the master plan that exists covers the entire railway network across the entire East Africa. However, we are still exploring, discussing, I'll be meeting the African Development Bank and other partners soon to say, how do you support these projects that citizens of East Africa are asking for? That is one of the areas we'll be discussing to see how they could support. Of course, they will say there must be a request by each of the partner states, but our interest is that we push as East African community so that we see that happening. Because it will not make sense to have a standard railway gauge running from Mombasa and then it ends somewhere in Nairobi, and then it doesn't connect the entire East Africa. So it's in our interest to do that.
Uganda received positive news from Kenya as a standard gauge lorry will extend to Maraba border from Mombasa. Construction of Uganda's own standard gauge railway is expected to commence around August 2023. Land acquisitions and compensations for the eastern route from Malaba to Kampala are currently underway. The estimated compensation cost of the overall project is 584 billion shillings, with 48.4% of the main line's 2,606 acres of land already acquired. The Commissioner for Policy and Planning from Ministry of Works and Transport, Richard Ndiku, says that overall compensation is estimated at 584 billion shillings that were approved from Malaba to Buikwe, and they have acquired 1,306 acres of land out of 2,606 acres, which translated to 48.4% of the main line.
The commitment was to conclude financing agreement for the standard gauge railway. In terms of progress, we are sourcing of alternative financing from Europe is ongoing. Government of Uganda terminated the contract with Czech and is in advanced stages of engaging Yapi Mackenzie, which is a tax firm, to undertake the development of standard gauge railway in the eastern route. Plan is to commence construction in this calendar year. Finalizing land acquisition for the right of way by compensating the remaining PAPs. Acquisition of right of way for Maraba to Kampala is ongoing. Overall compensation estimated at 584 billion, out of which reports worth 254.9 were approved from Maraba to Buikwe. Out of the approved reports, the reports worth 99.38 billion have been paid to 4.269 PAPs as at December 2022, acquiring 1,306 acres out of the 2,606 acres, translating to performance of 48.4% of the main line.
In Uganda, the next budget for financial year 2023-2024, more resources were put in under railway mode of transport to enable movement of cargo from the country to other East African countries like Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, among others, and reduce on accidents and the cost of transport within the region. Samuel Chirumunda, Masekatsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Moving on to supply chain disruptions, the closure of Masaka Road has triggered a staggering 50% surge in food prices, leaving traders and consumers reeling from its impact, especially products sourced from southwestern Uganda and Tanzania. Maize flour now costs 190,000 shillings from 160,000 shillings, and a bag of beans costs 690,000 shillings from 600,000 shillings, indicating an extreme price surge to the final consumer. We have more.
The closure of Masaka Road, a crucial artery for the transportation of goods, has disrupted the entire supply chain, resulting in a scarcity of essential food commodities. The imbalance between demand and availability has fueled unprecedented surge in prices across the region. In a region already grappling with economic challenges, the closure of Masaka Road has dealt a severe blow to the livelihoods of traders and farmers. Traders indicate that food prices have surged by an alarming 50% in the affected areas, exacerbating the hardships faced by already struggling communities. In fact,
we decided not to increase the prices of the food, however much it affects our businesses. As I speak now, today, the price of food we have just added a very small margin of 25 to 50%, yet it could be more than that, but we decided to keep it at that because I know government will come out of rescue. So far, there are changes in food prices because we are just starting the season, and now the issue with the Masaka Road because that route is consistently used even for those that are imported from Tanzania, then from Chotera and Mbarara. That's the reason as to why the price is still high, because the road is damaged.
Basic food items such as maize flour, rice, vegetables and cooking oil have experienced the sharpest price hikes, putting them out of reach for many consumers. Currently, a bag of maize flour costs 190,000 from 160,000 Ugandan shillings. A bag of beans costs 690,000 from 600,000 Ugandan shillings, indicating an extreme price surge to the final consumer. So, our prices have changed, and seasonally some cash crops like millet are out of season. So we shall be harvesting in January, and also with maize, the prices have increased because it is a season for schools reopening. We have been buying maize at 160,000, but now a sack goes for 190,000. And for beans, the price has increased from a sack costing 600,000 to 690,000. So now a kilo goes for 7,000 shillings. Traders and small-scale farmers who heavily rely on Masaka Road for transporting their produce to urban centers are facing significant challenges. The closure has led to increased transportation costs, forcing these traders to absorb the burden or pass it on to consumers, further amplifying the financial strain. For sure, we have been affected because taking the route through Mpigi, Maddu, Sembabule, and even the cargo trucks that take the same route have been affected. But we have to be patient until government repairs the Katonga Bridge. The consequences of this price increase go beyond financial stress. It has sparked social unrest and heightened tensions in the afflicted areas. Concerns about food security and social cohesiveness loom big as people struggle with growing living costs. The closure of Masaka Road not only impacts traders and consumers, but also creates a ripple effect throughout the local economy. Job losses within the transportation and logistics sectors are already being witnessed, and farmers in the affected areas are experiencing difficulties in selling their produce and accessing necessary farming inputs, which hampers agricultural productivity. Naomi Mtumba, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, away from that, members of parliament, together with civil society members, of Right to Grow Consortium have advised government to increase the budget for the agriculture sector in order to address the issue of food insecurity and malnutrition. Let's have a look.
In the appropriation bill for the year 2023-2024, agriculture sector was allocated 1 trillion shillings, which some members of parliament think it is very little, yet agriculture is the backbone of this economy. According to Honorable Christine Kaya, the country is still struggling with food insecurity, and the only way to address this issue is through mechanization of agriculture, but the next financial year's budget doesn't seem to address the problem.
As when you look at the development allocations, most of the districts are between 4 billions and 10 billions, between that for the entire year. When you calculate, for example, Chiboga, we are in 4.6. When you try to calculate, it's as if for the development of anybody in the district, you have been allocated 20,000, which is impossible. So development has little money, and then recurrent expenditure has a lot of money. Commissions are many. I'm a member of parliament, but there are even some commissions I got to know in the budget process. So I don't know what they do. So they create commissions to avail employment, big salaries to their people.
The legislator says many food processors will close down in due course because of the reduction in food production, and so many Ugandans will lose their jobs.
They are going to close down, and also the employees therein are going to sit down because there will not be business. So we are compelled to allocate 10% of our budgets to the agricultural sector. But all the time we forget this. We ratify these protocols, but we come here and domestication becomes very difficult. And we still prefer defense, state house, presidency. These are the items that take a lot of money, yet they are not in direct service delivery.
According to Gerald Kato, the country lead to Right to Grow, Uganda is one of the food baskets in the world, but it so happens that most of its food is exported to other countries, leaving its own people hungry and so having a malnourished workforce.
Uganda is known to be a food basket, of the region. We've been exporting food for many years to Kenya or Posho, to be exact. But also, we export food even to the European Union market. We've been exporting food to South Sudan, since time immemorial. But at the same time, you find as a country, we're not able to feed our own population. Just last year, we saw a real hunger crisis in the country, not just in Karamoja, where people died out of starvation, but also in various parts of the country. And the question has been really, what aren't we doing right? Like right now we are receiving good rains. Why aren't we having sufficient, adequate food for everybody?
Sarangalombi from Ministry of Health has cautioned employers who do not give their employees time off to breastfeed their children that they are doing a disservice to this country because this has resulted into stunted growth of children. She adds that Ministry of Health is working on introducing a breast milk bank to help mothers who cannot breastfeed their children properly.
It's being done in Kenya, and Zambia Hospital has also expressed need to do it because of the high number of low birth weight children that need breast milk, but and yet they can't get it from their mothers. So one of the options is the breast milk bank, and we've started benchmarking with other countries to see how it will be socially acceptable in our country, and also to make sure that within the policies it's incorporated there if it can work.
The country is still experiencing food insecurity, especially in the parts of Karamoja, among others, despite many interventions made. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Let's now shift our minds to women in energy. Addressing lack of women's representation in energy and extractives is crucial. The Women in Energy project, led by Electricity Regulatory Authority and supported by partners like UNOC, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, is actively encouraging girls to pursue STEM fields. That is to say, science, technology, economics, and mathematics. This initiative aims to provide them with numerous career paths in the energy sector, potential to meet the rising demand of clean energy jobs by 2030.
A significant gender disparity exists in the energy industry, with women facing barriers to opportunities and resources. Data from 2018 reveals that 96% lower representation of women compared to men in the energy sector, far exceeding the 8% average gap in the overall workforce across 29 countries. The Women in the Energy Network is established to support women's progress in the industry. The CEO of the Electricity Regulatory Authority emphasizes that Uganda's transition toward clean energy, in which women play a vital role, is crucial for the country's modernization. As part of this effort, skilling and mentorship programs have been introduced in girls' schools to encourage their engagement in STEM fields.
The value addition, all these themes speak to science-related careers. So if you leave the girl child and the women behind in this effort to participate in the modernization of our, it is going to be very, very difficult to achieve. For example, the electric supply industry, of which the forum today is being held. The majority of the needs for using clean energy touch more of the female gender than the male gender. It is the female gender that are responsible to put the meal on the table, and they are the ones who spend hours tracking the forests to get biomass, firewood for cooking.
I would like to encourage all the men in the house to support the female agenda. The number of women that have assumed strategic leadership positions in the electricity supply industry presents a notable advantage, because these strategic positions can be used to influence decisions that address challenges faced by women in the country, especially the limited access to clean energy. When we talk of clean energy access, the women are at the center, and Honorable Minister, you launched the cooking tariff, and results are slowly revealing that it is being taken up. However, despite this milestone, Honorable, the ratio of women to men is still very low. In the sector, it stands at 25 to 75.
The Ministry of Gender expressed its strong dedication to empowering women and requested the ministry to ensure affordable and accessible clean energy for women in rural areas, citing lack of availability as a significant issue.
It was very expensive for me. I had to, that was last year. The new connection was 700. That's when it was still at 700 plus. And then the application process, honestly speaking, very few women can afford to have a new connection of electricity in their homes. Can we also think about the services, the safety and security of our services?
While officiating the event, Honorable Minister for Energy and Mineral Development highlighted women's role in energy sector for gender equality and inclusion, facilitating network and knowledge sharing and fostering increased participation of women in this sector will not only promote gender equality and inclusion, but also create a platform for women to connect, learn and collaborate. She also highlighted that soon electricity connections will be accessible to Ugandans as more connections will be installed. The minister also made an announcement that underscores government's commitment to meet the urgent demand for accessible and affordable electricity. Ugandans can anticipate tangible improvements in electricity accessibility as the government works diligently to make reliable power readily available to all.
We are going to see more connections being done, more than 1 million connections being done. What we encourage people is to make sure that they use our couples, the certified wire people, to wire their homes so that we can do the connection. For those who have electric poles nearby, even as I speak now,
we have a program which is moving around, where you only have to pay upfront 200,000.
At least the oil and gas and energy sectors, top leadership, especially for government, is conspicuously occupied by women. Leading the pack, these women on the 11th of May launched the Women in Extractives and Energy Network, intended to use their clout to pull in more women entrepreneurs in these sectors. Ronah, Nahabwe, Masekatsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, on promising developments in Okwang Sub-County or Tuke District, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, during a public rally at Bararegi Primary School, pledged to provide clean piped water to people, imploring them to take advantage of resources to fight poverty through modern farming. Here is a look at the story.
People of Okwang Sub-County have faced clean water stress, but now relief is in sight as President Museveni made a strong commitment to address this long-standing issue. He also expressed his gratitude to local leaders for providing him with land and emphasized that it would be utilized for development and security purposes. This brings hope and relief to residents who have been grappling with water scarcity, showing government's devotion to improving overall well-being of the community.
This part of Uganda is quite remote, and I thought that if the government had a presence here, it would help in economic mobilization, but even in security. I'm glad the leaders of the area agreed and gave us that school and some land there. And we shall use it to do the two things we started off with, that is development and security. Even now, that's why I am here, because of the cultural rustling which had started again, but we are going to.
While addressing the gathering, President Museveni highlighted importance of fighting poverty through modern commercial farming, encouraging them to take advantage of resources such as water, solar-powered lighting to uplift their livelihoods. Additionally, religious leaders willingly consented to collaborate with government on parish development model, aiming at fostering community development through active involvement of religious institutions and government.
Apart from security, the real medicine for a good life is homestead income. So leaders may tell you many things, but NRM tells you, seek you first homestead income. Once you have household income, other things will be added unto you. Therefore, I am happy with the proposal of the bishops that we link with them on the parish development.
This commitment, coupled with emphasis on fighting poverty through modern farming and collaboration with religious leaders, promises a bright future for the region. Brenya Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Well, that story will usher us into a short break where we will return with more. Please don't go away.